There's something unsettling about driving at night that most people can feel but can't fully explain. Maybe it's the way the darkness seems to swallow everything outside the headlights, or how the silence turns every sound into something sharper, heavier, wrong. Maybe it's because after a certain hour the world goes quiet, and anything you meet out there on those empty roads feels like it shouldn't be there. Tonight I'm going to share 2 true night drive horror stories that have stayed with me ever since I first heard them. These are the kinds of encounters that make you grip the steering wheel just a little tighter the next time you find yourself alone on a dark stretch of highway. So settle in, turn the lights down, and listen closely, because these are the horrors that happen when the rest of the world is asleep. Our first story comes from a man who was driving home after a long shift at a factory 2 towns over. It was nearly 2 a.m. when he finally clocked out. He was exhausted. But he knew the route like the back of his hand, a simple 40-minute drive on a rural highway that cut through woods and farmland. That night the fog was thicker than he'd ever seen, and the road seemed to twist endlessly into the mist. He drove with both hands on the wheel, squinting ahead as the beams from his headlights dissolved into the haze. For a while nothing unusual happened. Just the steady hum of the engine, the whisper of tires against pavement. But then he saw something. At first, it looked like a mailbox or maybe a road sign. A dark shape standing just at the edge of the shoulder. But as he drew closer, his stomach tightened. It wasn't a sign. It wasn't a mailbox. It was a person. They stood perfectly still, facing the road, slightly hunched, their clothes hanging off their body like they were soaked or torn. The driver eased off the gas, trying to process what he was looking at, and that's when the figure moved. Not smoothly, more like a glitch, a twitch, a jerk of limbs that didn't look natural. The figure stepped directly into the center of the lane, forcing him to slam the brakes so hard his seatbelt dug into his chest. For a brief moment, the two were frozen, the man in his car gripping the wheel and the figure standing motionless in his high beams. Their skin was pale, almost gray, and their eyes didn't blink. They just stared straight at him, wide and unbroken. Then slowly, too slowly, the figure tilted its head to the side like it was studying him. The driver's instincts screamed at him to go, so he turned the wheel trying to slip around the figure. But as soon as he did, the thing suddenly sprinted toward the car. Sprinted faster than any human could move. It hit the passenger side with a loud, sickening thud. The whole car shook. He floored the accelerator, heart pounding, and sped down the empty highway. In the mirror, for half a second, he saw the figure again standing completely still in the middle of the road, like it had never moved at all. When he finally got home, he found deep scratches along the side of his car, but no footprints, no marks on the ground, nothing. The police shrugged it off until one officer quietly mentioned that similar sightings had been reported in that same fog-covered stretch for over 30 years. The second story comes from a woman who was doing a long overnight drive to visit family. She preferred traveling at night because the roads were quieter, but this time exhaustion crept in faster than usual. She kept catching movement in her peripheral vision, little flickers in the mirrors she convinced herself were just reflections. The radio occasionally dipped into static, then picked up what sounded like faint whispers between stations. She switched it off, unsettled. Her GPS, which had been guiding her on the interstate, suddenly rerouted her onto a series of smaller, poorly lit roads. She chalked it up to a glitch, but every turn felt wrong, like the GPS was guiding her somewhere she wasn't meant to be. As the night deepened, she felt that primal, icy sensation on the back of her neck, the unmistakable feeling of being watched. The thought hit her suddenly: someone is in the back seat. She didn't want to look. She kept her eyes locked on the road, knuckles white. At a lonely intersection, a single streetlight flickered above her car. The moment the light sputtered, something shifted in the rearview mirror, a silhouette. A tall figure sitting directly behind her. No face, no features, just darkness shaped like a person. Her breath caught. But when she whipped her head around, the back seat was empty. She tried to rationalize, tried to breathe. But every few minutes, the shadow would reappear in the mirror, always there, always watching, always vanishing when she looked directly at it. Finally, panic overwhelmed her, and she pulled into a gas station, stumbling out of the car. As the cool air hit her face, she felt a presence lean forward behind her, and a whisper brushed against her ear. "Don't stop the car." She spun around. No one. The attendant saw her shaking and let her stay inside until she calmed down. Later, she asked to see the security footage, It showed her pulling in alone, getting out alone, no one in the back seat. But in one frame, just one, a tall dark figure was leaning halfway into her window. So if you ever find yourself driving late at night, remember this: the road is never truly empty. And sometimes the things you see or think you see are far more real than you'd like to believe.